Hey, how's it going? Zach D Productions here, and I'm here with an album review for you guys. This is not going to be a long review or anything. I just wanted to give my quick review for Judas Priest's newest album, Invincible Shield. This one just came out recently, so we finally got the new album from Judas Priest. And I was looking forward to this album. I did like the singles that they've dropped leading up to the album, of course. I especially really enjoyed the first single, Panic Attack. That's still one of the highlights on the album for me personally. Now, I do like this album, but to be honest with you, there's not really a heck of a whole lot to say about this album. I mean, it's pretty much what you would expect from Judas Priest, and that's why there's not really a whole lot to say about this album. And I'm not going to go over all the songs on the album or anything. I'm just going to give my overall thoughts on this album, tell you what I think. I do like this album. I do think it is a good album. But do I think it's better than Firepower, their last album? No. This album does not hold a candle to Firepower. Now, when Firepower first came out, which was in 2018, which is crazy to think about, I remember being very wowed by that album. And this new one, Invincible Shield, it didn't really wow me the same way. It didn't really leave that same impact on me that Firepower did. I think when it comes to, if we're comparing both the albums, I think Firepower, I just felt like it had more interesting songs. It had more tracks that stood out. I mean, there is some good stuff on Invincible Shield, don't get me wrong. There's some very solid stuff. But for me, it's kind of like more on the same lines of Redeemer of Souls. It's kind of like in the same boat as that album for me personally, where I do like the album, but it just doesn't have a lot of tracks that stand out or jump out the same way that you would get on an album like Firepower or even their old stuff, of course. I mean, when it comes to their classic era, whether we're talking about their late 70s or 80s work, I mean, they'll never be able to top those. I mean, when it comes to bands like Judas Priest or whether it's another band that's been around for as long as them, I feel like they will never reach those same heights like they did with their early stuff. But that isn't to say that they aren't capable of writing good music and making good music, because they certainly are. Firepower was a good example of how a band like Judas Priest can still put out quality music and still make great music. And I would still say the same thing for this new one, Invincible Shield. It does have the things that you would expect from Judas Priest. It does have good vocal deliveries from Rob Halford, of course. I do think that he delivers some really solid ranges vocally on this album. And of course, I do like the riffage on the album. The guitar work from Richie is also very well done. I dig the solo work. And there are some good songs on the album. Again, Panic Attack, one of the highlights. And I do like the title track, Invincible Shield, as well. A standout for sure. So, yeah, this is a good album. It's definitely not one of their best, though. I would still say of their more recent stuff, I'd still say Firepower is pretty much taking the lead when it comes to their more recent stuff, in my opinion. But I still do like this album. I still think it's solid for what it is. So that's my review for Invincible Shield from Judas Priest. If I were to give this album a score, I would probably give it either a 7.5 or an 8 out of 10. A good album overall. So let me know what you think of Invincible Shield, the new album from Judas Priest. So with that said, thanks for watching. Have a good one.